Okay. Hey, it's Mark from MakeTheMostOfMassage.com. And today I'm with Dr. Ken Martz, who's a psychologist of 25 years. He's a yoga instructor. He teaches yoga instructors. He teaches people to how to become yoga instructors. He has a website called drkenmartz.com. And on that website, you'll find lots of good information and some free information regarding meditation. And we can talk about that later. Here's his book that he just put out, Manage My Emotions. It's a really good book. It's a good read. I've found myself finding stuff in there that was that made me think. It made me have to challenge myself. And I really enjoyed the book, and I strongly recommend picking up a copy. But today I brought Dr. Martz on the show for this video to ask him a few questions specifically for massage therapists. So my first question is, if you have a tough client, right? They may want to talk politics, or they're trying to maybe even potentially push your buttons. Like, what are some of the strategies that one could use to, sort of diffuse, de-escalate, you know what I mean? Not have to kick your client out of the building, right?
Got it.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm glad to be here. And so a couple of ways to think about is that sometimes folks are going to start on a roll. And so if you encourage that by asking questions like, well, do you mean this or that? Or it will encourage them to continue on the conversation. So one of the ways to play with that is to do what we call minimal encouragers. The yeah, I understand. Just a kind of simple acknowledgement to let them know that you're with them, you're following them, and let them continue the thought through to its end and let it die off. And if you slow those down a little bit over time, they'll start to finish. And in the middle of a great massage, they're going to just start to quiet down over time through that process. So it's one way to not engage and not encourage it further while still honoring their experience.
So you're hearing them, but you're not agreeing with them per se. And that's, my wife and I talk about that all the time, where it's just sort of like you're sort of steering them by minimal interaction. Yeah. And eventually, hopefully the rubbing takes over and parasympathetic kicks in and they shut up so you can massage them.
Yeah. And often it's like, we're not necessarily looking for a challenge or anything, but just feeling heard and understood goes a long way in terms of maintaining relationships, so great practice to just stay engaged and support.
Yeah. Good.
There will always be differences of opinion, but it's all good. We're there on a mission at that moment.
Right. Well, sticking with the massage room, how about like going into the massage room and you had a busy day and you're running and you ran out of gas, you know what I mean? And everything happened, and now you got to massage someone and you have to relax them. And you go in and you're all hyped up. Like, what are some of the things you can do maybe to center yourself or to just get back in that framework where you can do a good job?
Absolutely. Yeah, that taking time for ourselves is critical. And so, sometimes we can't help it if the car breaks down and all that, we're racing. But even if you just take a moment to kind of get centered before you kind of step back to address the client, can be really helpful. A couple of things you can do to kind of ground and get centered pretty quickly. One of which is, we call them grounding techniques. It's about how to get reconnected with where I am. So when I'm racing through the day, sometimes I'm worried about what I got to do tonight and where I'm going to get dinner and what I got this and what happened wrong yesterday and where my car is and everything else. So, but when we get centered, we can come back into the room. And so some ways to do that, the more we can get into the room, the more all that stuff from the past and the future kind of drops away.
Hmm.
So a couple of little tricks to be able to get into the room is grounding ourselves into our senses. So for example, really simple, just take a second, look around the room and say, how many red things can I see in the room today? And or how many green things, or how many whatever. So it engages you into the present moment.
Right.
Then you may close your eyes for a second and say, how many things can I hear? Well, I hear the air conditioning over here. I hear the, creaking of the chair over there, whatever else it may be. And then you may drop a little bit further inwards and say, what feelings do I notice? How's my breath? How's my heart rate? Where are my shoulders at? Where's my tensions in my body? Or what's feeling relaxed? It kind of doesn't matter what's tense or relaxed. The point for that moment is just bringing awareness into the present to kind of get centered. Now, since that naturally takes you to your breath, the
Right.
breath is the fastest way to change when you are agitated. Just a couple of simple breaths. Let the exhalation be twice as long as the inhalation. It will be calming. If, on the other hand, you're sleepy, let the inhalation be twice as long as the inhalation be twice as long as the exhalation. It will help to energize a little bit.
Huh.
Much like a yawn, it
Yeah.
draws us into a little more energizing.
Right.
So the body responds really fast to the breath, and just 2 or 3 or 4 breaths can be enough to really kind of help you get centered back in the present and be able to focus again and come back to the other nice thing about it, you can do it anytime. No one knows you're doing it because you're always just breathing anyway.
Right.
So it's a great tool.
Well, it's
Very
really
versatile.
it's very interesting because it's almost, you go in, you look at the physical objects, and you're training your mind to, to pull yourself away from what's going on inside your head, and then you're going back eventually into your body and to sort of bring it back. But now that chatter's sort of gone because you're able to focus on a breath or something like that. So it almost sounds like we're working towards meditation, or walking into that meditative mindset, like that process.
Absolutely. So meditation is a kind of a formal process, but we usually think about the kind of meditation on the mat and then the meditation off the mat. So this would be kind of one of those principles that's kind of like mindfulness and bringing awareness into your off the mat time, off your meditation cushion time. So you can really bring awareness to whatever you're doing.
Right.
So once you meet the client, can you just bring awareness for a moment to listening to their story?
Right.
Can you bring awareness? You naturally do this in massage as you're listening to listening with your fingers to where the tension is.
Right.
So that close awareness is a great skill to have, and applies all the way across the practice.
So if you extrapolate that to like everyday life, just that experience we talked about in the massage room of the centering yourself, can you use something like that to manage anxiety? Let's say for COVID, like, it's a lot harder to be a massage therapist now. When you're, I use a lot of PPE. I've got the face shield on, you know what I mean? I'm sweating, breathing, time between clients takes longer, business is slower, doing business is slower, and you have to slow down. You're worried about the future. You're worried about, things clearing, so more people come in. Can you take that? Is that something? How do you extrapolate that to like a bigger picture of like controlling or managing fear and anxiety and just worry?
Sure. So one of the ways that we just talk about kind of intervening when there's a challenge, but you can also do it kind of like prevention as well. So I could sit for 5 minutes and just begin to pay attention to my breath, and there's lots of different meditation techniques out there, but just start with, I watch the breath go in and I watch the breath go out. I watch the breath go in, I watch the breath go out. You don't have to get any more complicated than that. The mind will chatter, it'll do its thing, but it's kind of like lifting weights. If you lift the weights, the muscle will grow. It'll do what it needs to do. If you just sit and watch the breath, no matter how much chatter you had, that was your meditation for the day. And so if you just sit for a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, it's kind of like, I kind of use the example of like a snow globe. When I go through the day, the snow globe gets all shaken up and I get all stressed out. And then if I just hold still for a moment, the snow globe will just quiet down. I don't have to put any effort into it. I don't have to try to de-stress. Just sit still for a minute and it'll start to slow down. And so that's kind of the meditation process. It'll slow down the chatter. It's kind of like clearing out kind of like brushing your teeth for your brain, if you will.
Right.
It'll quiet down.
So
So if you do it a couple of minutes, morning or night, it'll start to build.
I like that imagery a lot. But I have sort of a technical question, which could be a stupid question too. When you actually say, like, literally, like, I watch the breath go in, I watch it go out. Are you actually saying that in your head? Is that part of, is it like a sort of an inner audible kind of, you know what I mean? Or is it just like you don't say anything? Like, how does that work with that inner voice?
Really good question. And it'll be a little bit different for different folks. And if you might be starting with that just as a cue to yourself to kind of mentally, all right, just observe. But at some point, even that chatter of observing the breath, observing the breath, observing the breath is just going to get quiet, and you just start to watch it. It's kind of like if I'm watching waves at an ocean. If I go to imagine for a moment at the ocean, the waves will come in and the waves will go out. I don't have to tell it to go in and out. I just kind of observe, and they'll kind of do its own flow as it's supposed to do.
Right. Right.
I don't have to talk it much. There are other meditation practices where you actually would use a word or a phrase, and it gets a little more focused on the language. But that could be a little bit different. The nice thing about using a word or a phrase is it helps to quiet down when it's a really chattery mind day.
Right.
So I could just say something like calm,
right,
calm, calm, and just breathe.
Right. It reminds me of the one Seinfeld episode. If you were a Seinfeld fan, are you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When George's dad is Serenity Now, that's his mantra, and then at some point he just freaks out, right? Because he's not using it properly. Obviously, it's like Serenity Now, right?
Yeah, which is a great way to think about the snow globe example.
Yeah.
So if you sit there and say, relax, 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 it actually makes it more tense. And so Serenity Now, it's like, no, just sit. It'll do its thing. You don't have to put any effort into it. Just relax and enjoy.
Right.
And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. Just like working out at the gym, the more repetitions you do, the more that will become routine for you, and you'll start to carry that with you back into the rest of the day, and into the massage room, and into hugging my spouse meditation, or washing the dishes meditation, or whatever else it may be that I do over the course of the day, to be more fully present and enjoy it.
Wow, that's really interesting, the way you take it to every level, or any level you want, or any area you want in your life. Like that's I like that idea. I know there's one thing I feel like there's a trigger for me when I walk in the massage room for relaxation massage, when I'm trying to relax. As soon as if I'm not relaxed, I really can't do relaxation massage the way I want to do relaxation massage. So I find myself, there's like this feedback loop. When I feel the client relax, I relax. You know what I mean? And vice versa. I think there's two. It's when, I'm sometimes almost to the point of falling asleep, but, maybe that's a little too relaxed, but, I like that idea of just like, taking that element, maybe even that element of relaxation out of the massage room, applying to my life, or just applying to a situation you're talking about, like, with your spouse, that can be meditation. The dishes can be a meditation. I tend to make that kind of stuff work, like I'm going to do my dish meditation now, and then I'm going to do and probably it's not going to work so well if you're dogmatic about it, I would imagine. So
the dogmatic element is just to say, I'm going to sit down today.
Right.
But whatever happens once you sit down, that's it. Just enjoy it for whatever it is. Some days I'm a little more mental chatter, and some days I'm a little less mental chatter. It doesn't mean it's a good meditation or bad. It just means I needed it a little bit more that day.
Right.
There's an old joke that says, you should probably meditate 20 minutes every day. And if you're too busy to meditate 20 minutes a day, then you're somebody who needs to meditate for 2 hours a day. You know, when you're that stressed out, you can't just sit for a couple of minutes.
Right.
That's when
Right.
you know you really need it.
You need it. There's a heart
That
attack
little
waiting
bit of
for you.
self-care.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I really appreciate your tips today, and I think I'm going to try them. And I said I think I'm going to try them because I don't want to be held accountable. Because next time we talk, I just don't want to. So
It's all good.
yeah, it's all good. Yeah, I get it. But just even talking, I feel like I really want to try them. Some of them, and I might even be a nicer person after all of that. So. But so tell me, where can people go to, like you said, you have a free meditation, a handout, and you also have a recording that people can go on your website, listen to, and that will help them, like a visualization recording of, yeah.
Sure. So if you go to my website, it's www.drkenmartz.com. That's DRKENMARTZ.com. From there, you'll find a whole range of things, but for what we're talking about now, click on the resources tab, and right at the top, you'll find the free downloads, and it will have a number of free downloads. That I put them all in one package, so you don't have to click
Yeah.
15 times.
Yeah.
So there's one that's on how to meditate, one on how to do breathing, one on a couple of different things in there, and then right about below that, you'll see a nice image of the meditation CD, and it, click here to play, and it's like a nice 5-minute meditation of me and some background music, and we'll kind of talk you through a quick focused meditation.
And I'll
So easy
attest.
access.
Yeah, and I would like to say that you got a great voice for the meditative, like being the, what do you call the person, the cadence deliverer, or whatever you want to.
Yeah. Thank
The
you.
lead. Yeah.
A different speed and tone and to draw it there.
Right. I love the part when you say serenity now. No, I'm joking.
Not on that audio though.
Not on that one, right?
Just on the discussion.
Right. No, I really appreciate your time, and I'm going to take some action there. And we're going to have you back, and we want to talk more about meditation. And I know you're also in yoga as a way to recharge, rebalance, relax. Yeah.
Absolutely. Happy to help anytime.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Dr. Martz. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. Have a good day.
All right. Bye-bye. So, I'm just going to stop recording.